For today's review, we are looking at Huntress. Now, who is Huntress for those of you who have never heard of this character before? The included data profile card, as usual, will give us that information. And here you have this nice image of what the figure looks like in the comic book source material that it's taken inspiration from. Pretty neat. And on the back, it does say that this is the new 52 version of Huntress, and her real name is Helena Bertinelli. I hope I pronounced her last name correctly. And it reads, a crossbow-wielding urban warrior and a core member of the Birds of Prey, the Huntress takes aim against crime in the dark heart of the city. Caught in a struggle between her rage and her role as a superhero, Huntress has come to represent the darker shades of gray in Gotham. And that is a pretty good read-up on who she is as a character. And now, on to the figure and, of course, the accessories. What do you get for a $30 collector edition figure? Well, let's start with the accessories and let's talk about what is included. So, of course, the first two accessories are these trigger finger hands for her to hold her crossbow. And said crossbow looks like this. She does come with one. It is painted in all black paint. And if you're a customizer that wants to make this, stand out more, you're definitely going to add some more paint details to this and not leave it looking flat. So there's that. And speaking of interchangeable hands, since she does have two trigger finger hands, she does also come with these two, what I like to call open gesture hands. Don't really know what this hand gesture is supposed to be, but you get two of these. And if you don't want her to hold her crossbow, you want to pose her getting ready for a throwdown the old-fashioned way. She does come with two fist hands, so that's also really good. And the last two accessories, I think, are the best compromise to the lack of alternate head sculpts. They finally incorporated faceplates for their figures. And this is not the first figure to come with faceplates. I believe the very first DC Multiverse figure that had the faceplate option was the Manhunter figure from, the Manhunter, if I remember correctly. But before that, I think the first Mcfarlane figure that ever had the faceplate thing was this Demon Slayer figure they released a while back. So, but no matter what it was, I'm happy that we got faceplates. And this first faceplate here is, of course, her smiling. And this is the same one that matches with that faceplate because they're wearing the same mask. As for her second faceplate, I believe this is supposed to be like a different comic source material because you can see that her mask is different. The ears are not sticking out. And she's very serious. So I like the fact that this is included as well. And yeah, finally, a compromise to the lack of head sculpts. If you're not going to give alternate head sculpts, faceplates. This is the solution. So there's that. And now let's talk about the aesthetics of this figure. What I like and what I don't like. And let's start with what I don't like. I guess the obvious thing is, of course, her head sculpt. And it has nothing to do with the sculpting of the face. It's literally the way that the head sculpt rests on the figure. And as you can see, it really looks like she doesn't have like a neck, right? Like you can see that she doesn't have like some sort of neck that's visible. Like from some angles you can see it, but from some angles you can't. And I think it's probably because of the fact that the neck sits so high up where the ball peg is for the head sculpt that once the head sculpt goes in, it looks really weird. So I don't like the fact that they didn't do a good job sculpting that part or retooling it. And this body buck is not a new body buck. This is a reuse of the Nightfall Catwoman body buck, if I remember correctly. It pretty much looks like it, I think. So I don't think this was the right sculpting that they should have used for this character. Because, there could have been another female body buck that they could have used if they needed to reuse that might have had a better placement for the neck to go with the head sculpt. But yeah, that is the one thing that I dislike there. is the neck. But, if you can do some sort of modification to it, probably make it look better. I don't know if I will do any modifications at the time being. So, but maybe in the future, if I do, I could probably fix that problem. So there is that. But honestly, you shouldn't have to do modifications. I think for a figure like this, they should have taken that into consideration when they put this thing together because, they sculpt figures. They should know the length of a neck to the head. I don't know why they messed that up. So that's a bummer. But the other thing I don't like as well is, of course, her hair right here on the back, because with a lot of these female superhero characters that have long hair, whenever they do have sculpted hair like this, it does hinder articulation and it does hinder their ability to look up. So there is that problem. Like, she can kind of look up, but again, not a fan of that, but it is what it is. But again, if her head was resting higher on the neck peg, maybe there could have been some room for the articulation to be better. Maybe. Okay, now the second thing that I don't like, now we can zoom back in, is the white paint application. And this is something that I do want to warn some of you about if you haven't picked up this figure yet and you're still trying to get this figure, if you're interested. Do go to the stores to look for this thing. Go to Best Buy, because that's where I've been seeing this figure pop up the most. It's at Best Buy. I haven't seen this figure at any other store. For some reason, the white paint applications for Mcfarlane figures have always been kind of like lackluster. They always have like pink QCs. And I've seen quite a few copies of this figure in the past with a lot of pink QCs in this center torso area where this white paint is. And it's not good. And on the side here, as you can see how that's bleeding over right to the blacks. So, like, if you don't really care about this bottom part, that's one thing. But if you care about the center part where her costume is, yeah, I've seen a few copies last time when I went to Best Buy to pick up this figure, and I had to like look at each one carefully to see which one was the better one, and this one was the better one. If I bought this on Amazon, I wouldn't even be able to see these problems, and that's the one thing I've never liked about the white paint when it comes to how Mcfarlane applies them, because they don't really do a good job in that area. So, yeah. And that's basically all the gripes I have with this figure. White paint application and the freaking neck. So, but if you can live past this, and I love that Bones from the Necro Zoo made this video recently where he talked about mental gymnastics, what we have to do when we buy action figures from all these lines. This is basically mental gymnastics for me. It's not a perfectly flushed out figure because of how they messed up this neck area, but at the same time, because there's probably like a very low chance that they will make another version of Huntress, unless they do make another version where it's based off of her Hush version. I gotta live with this. And, I don't want to pay import prices for the Mafex version because that's very expensive. So I'm okay with having this figure because I was able to get it for a sale. But if you don't like the way that this figure came out, this is not for you. Like, you're going to have to look for that Mafex version as the other solution for your Huntress if you want one on your shelf. So keep that in mind. But yeah, mental gymnastics. I love the fact that you made that video because that is such a interesting thing, because that is what we have to do when we collect every line that we follow. It is a game of mental gymnastics. Okay, and let's talk about the face sculpt now. So let me show those faceplates. So this regular one, the default one, I think is pretty good. I like the way it came out. And this is what it looks like underneath, for those of you who have never seen what's underneath. So, I'm used to faceplates. I've seen other companies do faceplates, such as SH Figure Arts. And the way that they do it is very different, because it's plugged in with like 3 pegs. sometimes two. But for Mcfarlane, they kept it very simple. It's just one big socket in the middle, and then you have this one peg here underneath. And this is what this faceplate looks like on the figure. Pretty cool. I do like that, so you can have her smiling. And this is what the last faceplate looks like on the figure. So if you don't want her to have the ears sticking out of her mask, you can use this one. And honestly, I like this one too. I think they did a really good job with the faceplates. And yeah, like, I'm just happy that this faceplate thing is now becoming more common because, you know, the recent collector edition wave with Power Girl, Guy Gardner, and Captain Cold, 2 of the figures had faceplates. Still, you know, kind of mad that Power Girl did not have faceplates, but I like the fact that they're becoming more common. So hopefully in the future, with more figures coming out, there will be more faceplates. And yeah, that'll be good to see. So I do like this one. And if I had to say which faceplate I would display her with, I think I probably might go with this one. I actually like this one the most because I like the fact that her hair is more visible now. So yeah, pretty cool. And of course, the other thing that I like is the soft goods wired cloth cape. I love seeing more of this, you know? Like, this is one thing that I found interesting. I don't know if I said this in the last video or a video before. Apparently, I've heard that these trying to speak here. These soft goods cloth wired capes are more cheaper to produce than the plastic ones. So if that is true, man, I don't know why more companies don't do this. Like, this is better. I like the wires. I like the ability to be able to make it look like it's windswept. So it's nice to see that this figure has this cloth wired cape, and that is really cool. In terms of the details on a lot of these areas in the belt, though, definitely could be painted better. You could probably add more details to them. And same thing down here with the boots. So yeah. But in terms of like just the sculpting of this figure and retooling this body, I think they did an okay job with retooling certain areas. But again, up here, they should have tried to do a better job. Like from this angle, you can see her neck. But, you know, from some angles, it looks weird. So, okay. Let's talk about articulation now. And we have done articulation before on this body buck, but let's see how it is on this version. So she does have shoulder armors now, and they do get in the way, I think. Yeah, they do get in the way, because these are part of the torso. It's not like a separate piece. So if you're trying to like get her arms to go out, these pieces will go up, and they are prone to warpage. She can't really go back too much with her hands. She does have double jointed arms. Let me see if I can get those to work. There we go. So as you can see, she does have double jointed arms. She does have swivel in the hands. There is a joint there that should work. Yep. And of course, up here, she does have the bicep swivel. Pretty good. So, you know, basic hand articulation, and I keep moving my camera. And now onto her head sculpt. So for her head sculpt, again, because the hair piece is going to hinder the articulation, she's not going to look up. She can't really look down either. She can turn her head to the side. Pretty good, but that's about it. Like, you're not going to get much movement in the head because of the hair. So, as for her torso, there is rotation here. Pretty good up here. It can't really ab crunch forward. It can lean back pretty good, I say. For her waist rotation, it does move. It's very tight on this copy because it is new, but it should be able to articulate. It should be able to do everything. It should be able to lean back as well. So there is that. And for her legs, can she kick out? Yeah, she can do a pretty good kick right there. Not too bad. And for her legs, she can double joint. Pretty freaking good. And she does have articulation in the feet area. Let's see if we can get that to work. There it is. There is a swivel down here, and there's a swivel up there. And does she have toe articulation? Oh, would you look at that? She does have toe articulation. And this makes me question something here. If these boots can have toe articulation, why couldn't these have toe articulation? What happened here? Okay. And of course, the last thing that we always like to do, can she spread her legs out and do the splits? Not exactly. Not the best, but of course, because the belt gets in the way. But I still think that it's better than some figures, because some figures can barely spread their legs out. So in this case, she can. So not too bad. Okay, there you go. She can spread her legs out that far. All right, let's do some comparisons, and let me get her holding her little crossbow thing, and let me see if I can get her to stand. Because the other problem with this figure is the fact that she doesn't like to stand. It's because of the high heels that she's wearing. But, you know, I think I can get her to stand. All right, let me see. Oh, come on. Come on. Work with me, figure. Don't fall over. There we go. All right. Let's zoom in on that. So let's bring in some figures for comparison. Here she is next to Fortnite Girl. And you can see that she's taller than Fortnite Girl because, you know, she's a 7-inch scale figure and Fortnite Girl is a 6-inch scale figure. Here she is next to Deadpool from the Marvel Legends wave of figures. Also taller than him because she's also 6-inch scale. And here she is next to Power Girl. And Power Girl is taller than her. So, yeah, you can see how, like, she's not even in frame with the camera. So, there is that. And that is it for comparisons. And I hope that you found today's review of this Huntress figure informative. If you did, do give this video a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel to see more action figure content and whatever else I do on here, you can. You don't have to. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care and I will see you in the next video.